Orlando is an area many local folks evacuated to when this storm was heading right towards us. But of course, that changed in the last 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, that's where we find our reporter, Katie LaGrone, joining us live tonight. Katie?
Hey guys, yeah, we can really start to feel those feeder bands here in downtown Orlando. You can see just around me, you can hear even the howling of the wind. We're just getting a gust right now. Stand by. We've got some rain coming in. This is a short while ago. We also heard some thunder. This is all part of the process of Ian moving closer to Orlando.
Central Florida bracing for Hurricane Ian. The monster storm still on track to move across Florida's central region late Wednesday into Thursday as a Category 1 hurricane, with Orlando, its flagship city and tourist hub, possibly feeling major impacts.
Yes, we're visiting right now in Florida.
But Ian, not enough to keep these tourists away. The family drove from North Carolina, arriving Wednesday morning, just ahead of the storm.
Why did you come to Florida knowing that there's a hurricane barreling down on us?
Well, we wanted to see, hopefully it works out. We had bought our tickets for Disney.
But seeing Mickey Mouse will have to wait. In a rare move, the happiest place on earth has shut down all of its parks, at least through Thursday. As concerns remain high, Ian could bring historic flooding to the area, with rainfall possibly reaching up to 2 feet in some parts.
I'm from Phoenix, so this is all, wild to me.
Some residents can't help but be concerned, even Florida natives.
You have to be concerned, right? I expect probably the power to go out a little bit, some nice debris, hurricane debris, but nothing too crazy. I don't think it's too crazy over here.
They're very worried right now.
But Jeff Norwood's mind less on himself, more on his sister, who lives in Fort Myers.
They're getting it hard. There's going to be a lot of people with a lot of loss, and it's sad to think of. But Mother Nature, nothing you can do. Just hold on and wish for the best.
And you can see just a couple branches down here at Ayola Park in downtown Orlando. And I want to show you this couple. Actually, you guys just went down to take a selfie.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So you got your selfie and you've got your helmets on, but
Aku Aku is serving tiki drinks right now.
Oh, geez. Okay. All right. So yeah, clearly here in Orlando things are starting to pick up, but people are still kind of keeping some humor about it. But obviously this is going to get a lot more serious this evening as conditions here in Orlando continue to deteriorate overnight.
Katie, what's it like now?
Yeah, guys, it's definitely starting to pick up. We're going through that sort of periodic, times where there's a lot of rain and then it stops, and then a lot of wind and then it stops. But you mentioned about people in Tampa moving up to Orlando, right, just to ride out the storm. Well, literally about 30 minutes ago, as we were walking outside of our hotel room, I met a woman from Tampa. She was in the lobby with her dog. I said, "Where are you coming from?" She said, "Tampa." I said, "Oh, really? What was your story?" In her case, she lives in downtown Tampa. Her elevator in their condo was being shut off, and so she and her boyfriend and their dog went ahead and packed up the car and made their way up to Orlando. I said, "Well, do you feel like you've escaped the storm?" And she said, "Yeah, it does feel a little better up here." But as you can see out here, things are starting to, worsen a bit. Not that bad right now. Here in Central Florida, this is an overnight into tomorrow type of storm. So that's the big issue. That's what we're waiting for. We're obviously, north of you guys in Tampa, and so things are starting to get a little heftier out here all day today. If you've seen, some of my coverage earlier, it took a while for people to get inside, guys. I mean, we had people outside walking their dogs, exercising. There were a lot of cars all day on the roads here in Orlando, but finally you can see clearly that the roads are pretty desolate. The big story here out of Central Florida, what they are watching and what they are really, really concerned about, guys, is that rain and flooding. I mean, we are talking about potentially historic flooding that could occur in Central Florida, specifically the Orlando area. They're looking at possibly 2 feet, which would be unprecedented.
Katie LaGrone joining us live for what she's experiencing there in Orlando. Katie.
Yeah, and you guys mentioned about people coming up here. We've actually met two families this evening who came from the Tampa Bay area up to Orlando thinking they were going to seek refuge. And certainly they're going to get a weaker storm up here, but they are certainly not getting away from all the effects of it. Take a look. We're giving you a little bit of a different vantage point. We actually decided to get up on the balcony of one of the hotel rooms here. You can see this is the cityscape of Orlando, really fainted by the rain. You can see the rain is coming down. Some of the trees, this palm tree right in front of this balcony. I mean, we have been watching this thing sway back and forth, back and forth. It almost looks like sort of like a rubber tree at times, like it's going to fall at any point. And fortunately, it hasn't. I know a big issue here in the Orlando area is basically that rain flood issue. We are looking at potentially historic flooding across the whole Central Florida regions, and including Orlando. They're expecting some 10, 15 inches in some parts, possibly even up to 2 feet in some parts. The other big issue is all of that flooding and, of course, the wind and what it's going to do to trees. I mean, this is sort of a tree city. A lot of streets, especially around downtown Orlando, are just covered. They're lined with these beautiful trees, some live oak trees that are, over 100 years old. There is concern about whether or not these trees are going to survive the night. It's going to be a very long night. That is what we're hearing. We know in Tampa you guys have had a couple long hours. You've got a couple more hours ahead of you. Here in Orlando, it is really just getting started. These are some of the hardest falls of rain that we've seen throughout the evening. It's only going to get worse as the night wears on. We're looking at potentially the worst of hurricane conditions here, at least in the Orlando area, around that 2 a.m., 3 a.m. mark. We will see. But again, people are, hunkered down. Obviously, you can see nobody's on the streets. They are going to wait this thing out and see what the morning brings here in City Beautiful.
Still causing some real issues with flooding towards the center of our state. We've got our Katie LaGrone in Orlando right now. We're going to go to her and see what she is looking at. Lots of reports of some bodies of water not in the best of shape. Katie, what can you show us?
Hey guys, yesterday was the day that we all feared, and today is the day that we're understanding why. Take a look. We're here in downtown Orlando. This is the iconic Lake Eola Park. You can see, you can't even see the difference between the streets and the lake. Literally, the lake has become the streets. This is supposed to be a street. And Maddie, if you come down here, I'm just going to show you, you can see a couple of the cars. They cannot make their way down this street just adjacent to Lake Eola. We spoke to a homeowner nearby who popped over here to take a look at the lake this morning. He said, of course, he's never seen it this high. He thinks that it's actually about 10 feet above where it normally should be. But this is the situation here in downtown Orlando. There's so much water. If you see, let's see. So we're about what, maybe, 100 feet from the lake, 150 feet from the lake. I mean, look, that's supposed to be sort of like the little dock that you stand on, right? And so we've seen people in there, and the water's coming up to about their calf. Oh, here, Matt, take a look. Here's a guy in a truck making his way. Obviously, this is not safe. We're always told not to go through flooded areas. That's exactly what you don't want to do. And oh, here we go. Here it looks like this is a county vehicle that stopped. They recognize that this is going to be a problem, so they've stopped. That's exactly what you should be doing. But yeah, this is the scene here in a very iconic part of Orlando and downtown that is literally right now underwater.
And Katie, we were seeing the Orange County Sheriff tweeting out some pictures of water rescues happening, just like you were talking about. Have you seen a lot of people out at this point? Are you seeing what is kind of the scene with the people out there as we see that truck drive through the water?
Sure. Right. So we are seeing curious neighbors definitely here in the downtown area making their way to Lake Eola as we were coming from our hotel. I mean, we actually stayed in downtown Orlando last night, and so this was a relatively short ride from our hotel. We saw police in the middle of the road trying to get that tree out of the road, but people are curious. That's natural, right? We all have that instinct to get up in the morning and see exactly what the damage is. Obviously, you have to be so careful. I mean, we're always told
told not to go outside, be careful of, down power lines, flood waters that, oh, here, Matt, take a look. It looks like the truck is not quite able to make its way all the way across.
Oh, look how
down
deep
the
that
street.
is.
So they're having to, yeah, look how deep that is. And this is not the worst of it. I can tell you, I mean, we're in central Orlando right now. Kissimmee, which is what, about 40 minutes south of us. They're dealing with a ton of flooding as well that we've seen just even on social media. Yeah, here.
Katie,
I mean, look, I'm just standing right here on this sidewalk.
Katie, we're going to bring in Greg here. We obviously saw some insane rain totals. Greg, we're near where the storm made landfall, but as it moved its way up through the center of our state, you surprised at all to see this, or is this typical of what fell there in Orlando?
I am surprised to see it because, I mean, maybe because, I think many people in the Tampa area have been to that lake, to that park. I've been there. I've taken many walks around it, and it's just hard to believe how long. Folks, do not do this.
Can we say this again? Yeah, don't. That's exactly what you don't want to do.
This is called F-150 courage, okay?
To Orlando.
Yeah, we are seeing major flooding there, and that's where we find our Katie LaGrone.
Yesterday was the day we all feared, and today is the day we are now better understanding why. Check out historic Lake Eola Park in downtown Orlando. You can see it is completely covered. The streets are covered in water. You can't even see a distinction between the lake, which is literally across the street from where I am, to this road. This is an historic part of the city. If you come down to downtown Orlando, you come to Lake Eola Park. It's just a very family-friendly area. There's an amphitheater here. There's a lot of family events, a lot of concerts. But today, it is basically part of the entire area is sort of underwater here. You can see the hydrants. I mean, we're looking at least about 2 feet of water in this area. Hydrants are covered, benches are covered. The lake's famous swans and ducks here have even confused the streets for the lake. Residents estimate the lake is about 10 feet above its typical height. The scene in this historic district today, they say, marking another piece of history here.
We went to bed and everything was fine. We woke up, I walked out and I said, the lake has swallowed the road. We've been here 50 years. This lake has never flooded since I've been here.
I've never seen the water this high.
You've never seen it. This is Lake Eola.
This is Lake Eola plus.
We've seen a number of trucks drive through the water. Other trucks, including fire rescue trucks, have stopped at the edge, turned around. Oh my God. Oh my God. What are people doing? Cars, though typically not as daring, although I will say earlier today we did see a car get stuck. The guy tried to make it through the water and it just didn't cut it. A number of guys came up and tried to help him, and they ultimately were able to move the car out of the water. That Mercedes over there, though, doesn't look like it made it. It's been sitting there all morning since we've been here. What we are witnessing in downtown Orlando is just another part of Ian's story unfolding across the state, including Central Florida. Flooding was always going to be the big issue for this region, specifically Orlando. Would it break records? We know, at least in this part of the city, that answer is yes.
I'm going to head to Orlando. The storm is still being felt there. Many folks here in the Bay Area evacuated east, and they headed to that area.
Yeah, and that's where we find our Katie LaGrone joining us live. Katie, you are seeing a lot of flooding where you are. What's it like now?
We're actually in the western part of Orlando. It's called the Orla Vista neighborhood. There's a lot of trailer parks here. It's an urban area of the city, and for basically the better part of the morning, they have been doing water rescues, and you can look behind me and see why. This is a neighborhood here. It is completely underwater. I mean, we have seen rescue crews, and there's actually another group about to make their way into the water now with a special boat that is designed for exactly these purposes. I mean, here, check it out. Matt, if you want to pan around, you can see, I mean, this water, guys, is up to the chest, up to your chest. I mean, on, a 6 foot tall person. And so we've been seeing them. They just started operation on this side of the neighborhood. They were actually on the other side for the better part of the morning. They tell me that they rescued about 100 people, guys, from this neighborhood. Yeah, and actually, guys, I'm keeping the camera on what we're watching right now. They have just gotten into the water here in the western part of Orlando. It's actually called the Orla Vista neighborhood. They have been out here, guys, around this whole section since 4:30 this morning. They were on the other side earlier. They tell me that they rescued, I mentioned about 100 people in the last hit. Try more like a couple hundred, they now tell me. Men, women, and children on the other side of this neighborhood.
I want to go back to Central Florida, and right outside of Orlando. Our Katie LeGrone is there. Real-time rescues happening in a neighborhood there. Unbelievable, and as Katie was saying earlier.
Did we just... Hey, guys? Can you hear me? Yeah. Hey, sorry. Yeah, what you're watching right now is one of 3 people that we've seen. This is the first group of people who have been rescued from the waters here in Orla Vista. That woman, she didn't have... Oh, sorry. Sorry, guys. This is a little messy. It's all happening as we speak. That woman just said she's so happy. She couldn't even really describe the conditions that she was in her home. She said there was water everywhere. We also saw a mother and her son and their dog get off the boat, and the son described the water just coming in through the bathroom, and they've been waiting in their homes for Orange County Fire Rescue. And of course, Orange County Fire Rescue has just done an unbelievable job out here. They have been out here since 4:30 this morning rescuing people in this western part of Orlando known as Orla Vista. They were on the other side, I mentioned earlier. They rescued several hundred people. They are now doing operations on this side of the neighborhood. We understand there's about 30 to 40 doors that they are knocking on, and they're obviously finding people who did not evacuate and needed to be rescued. And so that's basically the operation that's happening as we speak. I mean, just take a look at this neighborhood, guys. We understand this section of the neighborhood is filled with there are trailer parks, there are mobile homes, there's some single-family dwellings, and this is the operation that is underway right now. We actually we just sort of came upon it just as it was getting started. So we've seen 3 boats get into the water. Oh, here we go. Here's another boat, guys. I'm just going to take a minute. These are certified swimmers, certified divers from Orange County Fire Rescue who have been deployed here since 4:30 this morning, rescuing people from their homes, people who decided to ride out the storm Ian here in Central Florida in Orlando at their homes and are now paying the price for it. They are being rescued, fortunately, on these boats. Here's a woman.
All right, now we are looking at a live view of
as she's coming to safe ground here, and I know she's very thankful for it.
Katie, can you imagine?
One of the women who got off earlier. Yeah.
I was going to say, can you imagine they lost power, and here are some of these elderly folks, just in the dark and water, rising and rushing into their homes. And finally, being rescued here. They have to be so relieved right now.
Yeah, one of the women who got off the other boat, reporters, of course, are all congregated here, and we just simply said, "How are you feeling?" And she literally broke down in tears, and at one point she said, "I just can't talk right now." And here's another boat right behind this one, carrying a gentleman here. Look at all the stuff. I mean, these are people who, in some cases, are obviously coming off the boat with, here, we've got 2 backpacks that this woman has. I can't help but notice this gentleman here. Look at all the stuff on the boat. I mean, these are, you presume, are basically the only things he could save in his house.
And Katie, for the viewers who are just joining us, you were saying earlier they've done hundreds of these rescues at this point.
Exactly, right. We know that there are hundreds of people that have already been rescued from this neighborhood, men, women, and children who needed the help, and this is basically the second part of that operation, guys. And if you guys can just bear with me.
We're so sorry for what you've been through. Cannot imagine emotionally what it's been like. How long were you there waiting for help?
Well, I got to tell you, these guys came very quickly. I got to catch up with my cats. They're here someplace.
They got your cats too, right?
Yep, they do.
And they're okay?
So far, so good, yeah.
And is this?
But they're freaking without me right now.
What's your name doing, man? What's your name?
All right, guys, I'm going to let her. Obviously, this is an emotional time for her, and I don't want to.
Excuse me.
Yeah, we just want to be very respectful. That's first and foremost for us. But yeah, this is what we're seeing in Central Florida right now.
Yesterday around 10 o'clock, the pumps for the water shut off, and then the water level started coming up. We had power up until about 6 o'clock this morning, which was surprising to us. It's like, please stay on, because every other time, right as the storm hit, we'd lose power. Got up, went to see if I could get out. Water was already about 2 foot down at our emergency exit for the trailer park. By the time we got everything set up, I now have about 3 inches of water in my living room, about 6 to 7 inches in my bedroom in the back, so front to back. And my shed is an 8-foot tall shed, and it's under about 4 foot of water. And it's actually on blocks about 12 or more inches. So,
were you here during Irma?
Yeah.
Did you have to get rescued then too?
No.
Okay.
And
did you think that they had fixed the problem after Irma?
Yeah, especially with all the pumps that they were doing, and they've been pumping nonstop all week.
I just want to ask you, how are you feeling right now? I mean, I imagine that there's so much relief you're feeling.
My big worry was for the mother-in-law and the rest of the family, and I originally tried to get a hotel nearby, but they were asking like $275 a night.
So you tried to evacuate?
Yeah, I was going to originally do that because I have to have a place I know that can have power, because I'm on CPAP. We have a heart monitor for the mother-in-law because she's got a pacemaker. But I wasn't expecting this. Irma came up to about halfway of my property, but it came onto the porch, but didn't touch the house. This time it's like, holy mackerel. This first trailer here is actually underwater. Mine's the next one next to it.
What's your name, sir?
I'm David.
David?
David Phillips.
David Phillips. How long have you lived here?
Going on almost 20 years now.
You said this one's different. Why is it different?
The amount of water. Normally the pumps stay until almost the last bit of the thing, but this time the pumps cut out, like I said yesterday, about 10. And it's like, steadily came up.
So they've cut out long before the power did.
Yeah. Wait. And usually if we lose power, the pump station will lose power. So it's like, I don't know what
Do you think the fixes were actually made after Irma?
Well, they attempted to bring the water level down, but when the pumps went off, that big lake out there, the water rose really quick.
The one up there. How many folks do you think are in there still?
In here, to my knowledge, probably about 7, maybe 8 families.
Men, women, and children?
Yeah. Now, there's a family that's up on the hill where they're not really in the flood area, and they can easily get out the back gate if they want. But the whole center area of this, there's at least 2 foot of water all the way around.
We're so happy that you're safe, sir.
Oh, yeah.
We're so happy that you're safe.
Phillips?
And
yes.
Okay.
Guys,
David Phillips.
Yes.
I just, yeah, so that's basically the case here in Orange County, and this is what Orange County Fire Rescue has been dealing with all day. This is the aftermath of Ian, guys. Real, raw, stunning, sad, but these are the moments that you celebrate. These are the moments that we celebrate because it's not happening across the state.
That's really what we hope for, is that folks who are stuck, that we can find them and rescue them. And it's just the brave men and women who do those jobs. You know, our thanks go out to you.
Yeah, and when we were watching it earlier today, right around 1 o'clock in that time frame, we were watching it play out live. And as a matter of fact, our Katie LeGrone is still there for us. Katie, I understand you're out in that neighborhood and you're on a boat right now. Is that true?
That's right, Jameson. We're actually on one of the rescue boats that we've been watching all afternoon. We're here with Jason Oft from Orange County Fire Rescue and his crew member. I got to ask you guys, I mean, we're just taking a look. This is the first time that we're actually on the water through this neighborhood where you guys have been working, rescuing people. What has it been like for you?
Well, we came out here about 5 o'clock this morning, and on the backside was the main area we had calls coming in, and we were out here till about 10:30 in the afternoon, or 10:30 this morning, and we pulled about 150 people out by boat and about 30 to 50 animals.
Wow. And Matt, if you want to even just show our viewers, I mean, look, this is the neighborhood, guys. This is on the west side of Orlando. Oh, wow. Look at the mailboxes. I mean, this is the first time we're seeing inside, just as you guys are seeing this. We've been obviously on the outskirts of this neighborhood, just watching these crews go in. As Jason said, they've been out here since about 5 o'clock this morning. We've seen, we know that, men, women, children have been pulled out. I know, Jason, how long have you been with the Orange County Fire Rescue Department? How long have you been doing this?
16 years.
Yeah, so have you ever seen this neighborhood this high?
No, we've worked this area. I've been in this area for about 13 years, and they had flooding in 2017 when it came through, but not as high as this was. We flooded the backside flooded, but it wasn't this high or make it that far out towards Overton Garden.
And when you end up rescuing them, I mean, what's been the reaction when you guys show up?
They've been pretty thankful so far. Once in a while, they are panicking because there's so many people that want to come out at one time, especially when we got here. Especially with the next week we come down, it's going to be Ronnie Circle. When we originally got here, we had four of us were on foot, and we just had 2 boats circling, and we couldn't get the boats back out fast enough to get people out, and they're all yelling more, hey, we need help here, and we were trying to get them together, putting them on top of cars to try to keep them out of the water.
Wow, oh my gosh. Guys, I just want you to take this in. I mean, this is real life right now in Orlando. This is Central Florida, where I know flooding for you guys was always the biggest issue with Hurricane Ian. And so this proved to be basically the disaster that you guys expected it to be?
Yep, and in the same spot. So heads up, there's the cars underwater right here.
Oh, wow. Guys, are you seeing this back at the station?
Unbelievable that the flooding is that high, all the way covering up their vehicles, not to mention,
look,
I mean, the feet into their homes.
That's the top of a vehicle, Wendy.
That is the top of the, yeah,
look
that
at
is,
the top.
the car is completely.
That's the top of a car.
Yeah, completely underwater.
Completely submerged.
Wow.
Yeah, and Jason, I know what was stunning to me is, guys, not everybody in this neighborhood has chosen to leave, right? There are people who are literally right now still in their homes.
Yep. Especially on the further side over, we go that way. It's still a lot lower. They got water coming up. We're like, when we get pulled out, we may be redeployed someplace else to go assist with someone else. We might not be able to have a boat back here for a while. And they said, we're staying.
And why? What's their reason? Do they give a reason?
They really don't. They just said, we're not going anywhere. Someone said we have animals that, and I said, we'll bring them along. We'll get them out, meds and animals, and let's head out.
And you can't force them out?
Nope. Yep, so, like, okay, I'm letting you know we won't be back. And in case we get redeployed, and obviously we've been back because we haven't been yet.
And how long do you expect to be doing these trips? How long do you expect to be out here doing this work?
So we ended up back out here again because we got a couple of phone calls that people now wanted to come out. So that's why we ended up back over here again. Otherwise, we would have been redeployed someplace else to assist with someplace else in Rockland County.
So do you think you'll be out here tomorrow again?
I think the number of people, because I was out here from the start, I kind of had an idea where a fair amount of them were. And I think minus a couple of families that are still on that end, that I know where they're at. Most of them all this way, they decided to leave at this point.
Wow. This is unbelievable, guys. So this is the aftermath of Hurricane Ian in Central Florida, specifically Orlando. Of course, this is the part of the state, guys, that didn't get the brunt of the storm. But yet, you wouldn't know it. Looking around as I'm looking for the first time, just as you are, at the scene here in this western part of Orlando, where this community, homes are flooded halfway up, cars completely submerged underwater in an area, in a part of the state that wasn't hit as hard by Hurricane Ian. And you know, I talked about it earlier today, how what's stunning to me about this storm in Florida is everywhere it struck, it made history. And here in Orlando, city beautiful, it is no exception here. Back to you guys.
I'm still just shocked at that video that we just saw from Orlando, because we were talking about it. And I mean, Jameson had said that that is known as a flood prone area. And I don't know if Katie can actually hear us. Katie, I think we're seeing it right now, but we're sitting here and just wondering, is that an area that actually has had flood problems in the past, or did this just literally come out of left field with everything failing at the same time?
Yeah, it looks like they're doing a rescue right now.
Guys.
Oh, she's available to talk. Okay, Katie, go ahead.
Yeah, hey guys, right. As we were making our way back, there were people outside the house. And so there's Jeff and his crew member. They just jumped out of the boat and they grabbed them. So you're watching this happen. I'm actually holding on to my photographer so he doesn't fall back. But to answer your question, Dennis, this is an area that has been known to flood before. Oh wow, here, you can see the National Guard is on site as well. It is adjacent to 3 retention ponds, guys. So it's a low-lying area, plus you've got the 3 retention ponds. And so that is basically, it all converges to create sort of this disaster area for fire rescue. Typically when there's a really bad hurricane. However, they have never seen water this high here. This is not normal. This is not typical. You're seeing, it looks like there's a man, there's a woman,
the
there's
National
a child,
Guard there.
as we've talked about. The National Guard. We just saw them come in about an hour or so ago with their big trucks. All of this happening as we speak. And you know what was stunning, if you remember when I was talking to Jason, that look, I mean, not everybody wants to leave. And so these guys have been out here since 5 a.m. this morning, and they have visited homes where the person at the moment has said, nope, I'm good. And then they get the call that, nope, I need the help now. And so they have been back and forth out to this neighborhood, different sections of the neighborhood throughout the day. And one of the guys I spoke with earlier said, yeah, they think that they're going to be out here for the next day and a half. People who originally didn't want to leave and then realized, you know what, we can't take this. The water's, not quite receding or going out as fast. And so here we have another family in what has been, I've heard 150, I've heard a couple hundred. I can tell you some of the guys, it's been happening so often here, guys, that it's hard to keep count. And that's what I'm hearing, is that, look, we just go. We're not really thinking about the numbers, we just go. And right now, even with us, this was sort of supposed to be a little bit of a media ride, right? This was supposed to be just me and the guys kind of touring this area on boat to see what they've been dealing with throughout the day. And as we were doing just our thing, our little sort of media clip, here's a family that walks out of the house saying, we need the help. And what do? They just jump in. I said to Jason, he had the mic on. And I said, wait, let me get the mic. He said, oh my God, yes, get the mic off. He was ready to jump in. That's what they do. That's what these guys do. Certified swimmers, divers, this is a special team that is ready, willing, and able, and they jump to it when they have to. And this is the scene in Orlando, and it's striking. I mean, it's stunning. I've never seen anything like it.
Katie,
I've never seen anything like it, and I know we're hearing that a lot.
Katie,
Yep,
it's Dennis.
go ahead.
I wanted to ask you a question. So what we're looking at right here, that has nothing to do with surge. And that's what I'm finding is absolutely unbelievable because, you know, normally when you see a storm surge come into an area, you will see pictures like this. I mean, I think a lot of folks look at this and they think Katrina.
There's somebody else.
Hey, Fern.
But have these men...
And look, Matt, if you want to pan around. Wait, hold on,
they're
guys.
doing another rescue right now,
Matt, turn around. See, so there's, I don't know. Here's somebody else who has come out of the home. I don't know. We don't know what the situation is. We don't know if this is somebody who's prepared to stay here or not. But here's the boat. We're making our way to this woman to see if she's ready to go. And it looks like she might be. It looks like she has. What does that look like? A ice chest?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the question is she ready to go? We're just gonna watch this, guys. Yeah, she's got what looks like is an ice chest.
Need some help?
With probably the only belongings that she could carry with her.
You sure?
She says she's okay.
Where are you headed? Out? Okay. We can take you out the rest of the way if you need it. Are you good? Okay.
So Jason, she declined the help.
Yes.
And that's just happens, huh?
Yeah.
I guess they don't always want the help.
Yeah,
So this is somebody who's making their way out with some personal items you can see, and they don't want the help. They are declining the help. Jason just said, hey, we can give you a ride. And we were told no.
Katie, has Jason ever done rescues from storm surge? In other words, ones like Katrina where the water comes in from the ocean or the Gulf? Because this is not storm surge. This is just fresh water. This is rainwater that just builds up. And I honestly can't say that I've ever seen anything like this. So I've seen it with a storm surge, but not with just flooding.
Yeah, I'm miking up Jason now. That's a great question. Our chief meteorologist, Dennis Phillips, Jason, is asking, have you guys ever done rescues where it's been the result of storm surge?
So back in 2017, they had an issue with the storm surge coming in off of the same kind of the deal, off of these retention ponds.
And how did that differ from what we're experiencing
It's just
now?
higher waters this time.
Higher waters.
Wow.
Higher waters, Dennis, than
it was in
what we're dealing with in this neighborhood. So this is a combination of retention ponds, low-lying area, and just a whole lot of rain, which has always been the issue. That has always been the main concern here in Central Florida with Ian, was this rainfall and flood. And it's obviously, they were expecting potentially historic conditions, and clearly that's what they're getting. We've seen it. We're obviously seeing it here. We've seen it in downtown Orlando. We were there earlier this morning where we saw some amazing flooding. This is actually, we're now starting to make our way out, and you can see the person that we saw walking just choosing to walk the way out. And the question is, why did they wait so long, right, guys? I know crews have been here throughout the day, right, Jason? You've been here. So how many times have you been specifically in this neighborhood today?
So this is the third time we've come back since we've left. And we probably, the amount of circles we made around Ronnie and Hope Circle, I couldn't even tell you how many at this point. This gentleman here has been driving this boat and bringing them out all day.
I just want to make sure you guys heard that. Third time. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah, third time, yeah.
They've been out here 3 times.
I think I'd also be concerned of what's in that water, right? I mean,
Not the cleanest water.
Yeah.
Well, manhole covers
Right.
too have a tendency to
What's
pop
in the
off, and
water?
you could step in those, and that's when
That's
things
a
can
great
get really, really bad.
Anything and everything.
And if you have an open cut, that can be very dangerous.
That's why a boat would be great.
Yeah.
Right, which is exactly why, which is why fire rescue crews are out here. We've seen the sheriff's office also. We've seen, some of their posts that they've also been doing rescues. I mean, this is what today has been for these crews. It's just been rescue after rescue after rescue, and it's not stopping.
Katie, have they ever seen anything like this before?
No, not this high. They're used to doing fire rescues. They're specially trained for doing fire rescues, but they tell me that they're this high. They've never seen the damage. I mean, we saw water here. That's a first for these crews who know this neighborhood well, who know this low-lying area quite well. You know, from here, they've been taking people who they do rescue and they go to a hurricane shelter. The question is, what happens after that? What are they coming home to? How long will this water take to recede? We understand that it's sort of a combination of pumping the water out and also letting it recede, but it's still pretty deep, and it's been a very long day for these rescue crews.